Okay, we are now with the OG Resident Evil, which details the exploits of Alpha Team in their mission to investigate the Arclay killings. Headed up by Wesker, the STARS squad includes expert marksman Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, the master of unlocking, top explosives lad Barry Burton, and helicopter pilot Brad Vickers, among others. The team successfully land near the mansion but are quickly caught off guard by a pack of zombie dogs, which forces them into the Spencer mansion. Separated, they each make their way through the illogical maze of corridors, encountering and surviving the zombified Umbrella staff, BOWs, and various other mutations. Meanwhile, Wesker is pulling the strings behind the scenes. He strong-arms Barry into helping him set traps for the rest of the STARS team by threatening to kill his family. Chris and Jill survive everything and anything that's thrown at them: sharks, snakes, spiders, bad dialogue, and they meet up with Rebecca Chambers on their way to getting out of the mansion. Wesker is finally revealed to be a traitor to Alpha Team, and as a result, he releases Umbrella's Tyrant Project, a huge mutated man-mountain, not that one, in a bid to kill the remaining STARS members. Chris, Jill, and Rebecca fight off the Tyrant, and thanks to the impeccable timing of Vickers' return with their helicopter, they all escape as the Spencer mansion self-destructs. There's definitely a pattern emerging here, right? Amidst the chaos, Wesker manages to survive as well, albeit without the critical BOW samples he intended to gather, and he leaves Umbrella for good. A couple of months pass and we catch up with Jill Valentine during the events of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Under pressure from Umbrella, STARS has been disbanded and nobody believes the team about what they saw in the Arclay Mountains. The T-Virus has very much arrived in downtown Raccoon City, having spread from that gigantic underground lab that somehow remains secret. With the zombie population on the rise, there is chaos in the streets, and the RPD is quickly overwhelmed. Umbrella, in a series of questionable decisions, starts deploying BOWs all across Raccoon City, chief among them the dapper Mr. X, and the titular foe of Resi 3, Nemesis. Nemesis is given the mission of hunting down former STARS members, and keeping the momentum going, Nemesis begins his unrelenting chase of Jill Valentine. Across town, the Umbrella Biohazard Countermeasure Service, God that's a mouthful, arrive and start evacuating anyone who's not a zombie. In her attempts to escape, Jill runs into UBCS team member Carlos Oliveira, and the pair take the fight to Nemesis while trying to escape the ruins of the city. During their fight, Jill becomes infected with the G-Virus, leaving poor Carlos to fend for himself and find a cure for Jill. Will she survive? You'll have to wait till later to find out, because we've got a date with a blonde hunk. Taking place concurrently with Resident Evil 3 is the campaign to Resident Evil 2, which sees new cop on the block Leon Kennedy and Chris Redfield's sister Claire appear for the first time in the franchise. Leon arrives in Raccoon City for his first day on the job in the middle of the zombie apocalypse. After encountering Claire Redfield, who's searching for her brother Chris at an out-of-town gas station, the pair make their way into the heart of the city before getting separated during a car accident. Leon eventually makes his way to the RPD, which is completely overrun with zombies. After navigating the station's bizarre lock and key setup, it is an old museum after all, Leon finds himself down in the cells where he runs into the mysterious Ada Wong. Ada's mission is to swipe a vial of the G-Virus, and Leon agrees to go along with it, the naive heartthrob. As they're investigating, the pair are attacked by Mr. X, and they escape into the sewers where they encounter Annette Birkin, wife of Umbrella scientist William. Annette injures Ada and informs Leon that he's working with a mercenary who wants to sell the virus on the black market. Leon, the fool that he is, descends into Birkin's lab anyway, swipes the G-Virus and returns to Ada, who immediately holds him up at gunpoint for it. Annette pops up one last time, shoots Ada, and in the ensuing chaos, the G-Virus and Ada fall into the abyss. As Leon tries to escape the lab, Mr. X makes one last encore before being dispatched by a handy rocket launcher that is thrown to him by Ada, who has miraculously survived her fall. Meanwhile, Claire encounters a young girl, Sherry, daughter of William Birkin, and they manage to escape a giant creature by taking refuge in the RPD car park, where they meet morally bankrupt police chief Brian Irons. Brian kidnaps Sherry and locks her in a neighbouring abandoned orphanage. As Claire mounts a rescue mission, a tyrant drops in on Irons, infecting him with a parasite. Irons dies and Sherry flees, while Claire manages to escape into the sewers only to bump into Sherry's mum Annette, who reveals that the creature chasing her daughter is in fact her mutated father. Turns out our Will had plans to sell his G-Virus creation to the US military, a plan that didn't go down too well with Umbrella, who promptly sent in a team to kill him. To save himself, Birkin injected himself with the G-Virus, turning the good doctor into a repulsive monster. In the ensuing carnage, he destroyed a bunch of T-Virus stores, which led to the Raccoon City outbreak. When Claire and Annette find Sherry, they discover that she's already been infected by her father, and the pair hatch a plan to find a cure from within Birkin's labs. Claire succeeds in finding an antidote, and in the chaos of getting back to cure Sherry, Annette is killed by her husband. Naturally, the whole facility enacts the contractually obligated self-destruct function, and Claire and Sherry escape to an evacuation train where they meet back up with Leon. Birkin has one more crack at killing them, fails, and is then caught in the fires of the exploding labs. Okay, let's wrap up that cliffhanger from earlier. Carlos, being the absolute lad that he is, scavenges a cure for Jill, because by this stage they're just lying around the wastes of Raccoon City, and she recovers from her infection. The pair make their way through a series of underground Umbrella labs in an attempt to escape the city before it's nuked from the air. It's the only way to be sure. En route, they're ambushed by good old Nemesis one last time, and Jill fires the killing blow with the biggest of big f***ing guns. After defeating Nemesis and overpowering one of Carlos's corrupt squad mates, the pair ride off into the sunset and Raccoon City is reduced to ashes behind them. Alright, 3 months have passed since the devastation in Raccoon City, and Claire Redfield is still searching for her brother Chris. Her search takes her to an Umbrella facility in Paris, where she is eventually caught in a sequence heavily riffing on John Woo. Umbrella locks her up in an isolated prison in the Southern Ocean known as Roquefort Island, and lo and behold there is an outbreak of the T-Virus on the island, and Claire soon gets set free. Soon after, she encounters the world's most irritating Canadian, a floppy-haired lad called Steve Burnside, and the pair team up to escape the island. In their way stands Alfred Ashford, one of the clones created by Umbrella co-founder Alexander Ashford, and well, he's gone a bit insane. His time alone, and apart from his twin sister Alexia, has led him to cultivate a split personality, and he switches frequently between the identities of himself and Alexia. Claire and Steve soon break free from Roquefort Island, only for Alfred to divert their plane to the nearby Umbrella facility in Antarctica, using the system's autopilot override. Crash landing in Antarctica, the pair finally defeat Alfred, who uses his final spark of life to awaken his sister Alexia from her cryosleep. She's not the only Ashford in Antarctica though. Turns out Papa Alexander Ashford, the other Nosferatu, is still around and he's hungry for revenge. As Claire squares off against the hideous remains of Alexander, Alexia takes control of the situation and captures our heroic duo as they attempt to escape. Meanwhile, back on Roquefort Island, Chris has turned up searching for his sister. In his search of the island, he bumps into none other than Dr. Albert Wesker, who has gone rogue from Umbrella since the Spencer Mansion incident, and is there to retrieve a sample of the T. Veronica virus. With their goals both in Antarctica, the pair separately make haste for the Umbrella base. Once there, Chris saves Claire, poor Steve becomes infected and dies, Alexia is finally defeated, and that sneaky bastard Wesker makes off with Steve's T. Veronica virus-riddled body, all while Umbrella's Antarctica base, yeah, you guessed it, self-destructs. Okay, next up is the Wii Light Gun spin-off Resident Evil Dark Side Chronicles. While the majority of Dark Side Chronicles is a retelling of Resident Evil 2 and Code Veronica, there is one new mission in its campaign that keeps our timeline ticking along, and that is Operation Javier. 4 years after the disastrous events in Raccoon City, Leon Kennedy and Special Ops member Jack Krauser are dispatched to South America to apprehend cartel leader Javier Hidalgo, who has apparently infected his daughter Manuela with the Veronica virus. Leon and Krauser encounter and secure Manuela before proceeding to Hidalgo's complex. There they defeat Javier, who has fused himself with the Veronica virus to become some kind of giant killer plant, and they escape with Manuela via helicopter. During the fight, Krauser's arm is wounded and becomes infected, and as a result, he's discharged from the US Army. This leads him down a darker path as he contacts Resi Big Bad Albert Wesker to join his team. Umbrella Chronicles is next in our timeline, and it largely retreads ground from Resident Evil 0, 1 and 3. But like Darkside Chronicles, it has a unique mission called Umbrella's End, and I'm guessing you can figure out what that entails. The year is 2003. Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine are investigating Umbrella's last known stronghold, a facility in Russia, which is developing a new BOW known as the Talos Project. Chris and Jill, being the experts that they are, infiltrate the facility and destroy the Talos. But wait, who's that on the horizon? It's only bloody Wesker again, here to take his final revenge on Umbrella. Wesker flings his coat into the camera like an absolute nutter, it must be freezing out there, and tears his way into the compound. He encounters Sergei Vladimir, a high-ranking Umbrella leader who has been working closely with Lord Spencer to keep Umbrella going in the wake of the Raccoon City outbreaks. Sergei is no match for Wesker, who quickly dispatches him and steals Umbrella's deepest, darkest secrets, which he then makes public. As a result, Umbrella loses its long-standing legal battle with the US government, a dispute that's been going on since 1998, and Umbrella declares bankruptcy as a result. Nothing more exciting than court proceedings to bring an evil monster-creating corporation to its knees, eh lads?